I'm interviewing Dusti Arab today, and she's got an awesome new project going on that she can tell us all about. What I would like to say about her is that she is a writer, a speaker, a serial entrepreneur that can help you connect, that can help you build your business. And as a mom, she's got an awesome new project, and I think that title of mom supersedes all her other titles, but that's just me. So I hope you enjoy today our interview with Dusti Arab and her new project. Dusti, what can you tell us about your project and new book, Rebel Mama, how to raise your kids without losing yourself?
It's totally fine. It would be a problem if I couldn't remember the subtitle. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Tess. Yes, my current project is Rebel Mama, and it was kind of it wasn't the book I ever expected to write, to be honest. So I just had my second child here in March, my son, Tristan, and you know, the book really started incubating about 2 years ago when I wrote my first book called The Minimalist Mom. And I realized after writing that the conversation that I wanted to have was really much bigger than that, because minimalism for me was it was the very first step. It was the very first step, because by clearing away everything else, suddenly I had all this extra time and all this extra money. And like, what was I going to do with it? And, you know, I really had to do a lot of soul searching. And, you know, as things went and developed and I started writing more, I ended up with a new blog at Undefinable You talking about living outside the labels. And that it started to open that conversation a little wider. And last November, actually, I had wrote my first manifesto just to get all the ideas out there that I'd been stewing on about living outside the labels and defining your values and everything. And it had occurred to me that so much of what I was writing about was solely because of the journey that I'd taken to become a mother. And that was really moving for me. And I wondered how true that was for so many other people. And so I put it in the back drawer, and I was like, okay, the Rebel Mama project is going to happen, just not yet. So in March, when I had my son, when I went on maternity leave, I started writing it, because that's the kind of thing that I do on maternity leave, is I write books.
I get goosebumps, just so you know. Truth bumps is what I like to call them, while you've been talking. I just think that motherhood is such an awesome topic, and there's so many moms that need help, so keep going.
Absolutely. And, you know, and to that effect, like, I know when I became a mother, like, I was totally unprepared. Like, when I started, when I knew I was pregnant, which, you know, happened after one too many margaritas, so my daughter was not exactly planned. I started looking through all the books. I read like every parenting book out there, because I was like, okay, I have to learn how to be a good parent, because my mom was a disaster. Like, I couldn't take anything from my mom. And I really didn't have many female role models in my life to really turn to and talk to for, you know, parenting advice. So I'm reading the books and everything that I read just made things worse. You know, because most books aren't written for, you know, 20-year-old moms, you know, who got pregnant by accident, who are just starting college. So, you know, and nothing really spoke to me. And if anything, a lot of it made it worse, because everything was just reiterating that because I wasn't a traditional mom, there was clearly no way I was going to be a good one. And that made things really, really difficult for me. When I had my daughter, I had awful postpartum depression. And that went undiagnosed for almost a year. And
that's big.
That was big. And that was very frustrating. That was very frustrating to look back on, you know, and just to see that, like, nobody said anything. I was one of those people who I didn't think depression was a real thing until it had happened. And so it had never even occurred to me that was what was going on. So once I started seeing a therapist about my postpartum, that was actually when I started writing. That was when I started blogging, and that's really when all of the changes started to happen.
Wow, good for you and that therapist. You know, I used to work in private practice as a counselor, so I know about women and postpartum depression. I've seen the effect that it can have. So I'm hoping there you put something about that in the book, or somebody's putting tips in there in the book. So you talk about, the subtitle is how to raise your kids while you don't lose yourself. Well, so how does somebody not lose themselves?
Oh, man.
Somebody find themselves.
How do you find yourself? Wow. You know, I feel like stepping into motherhood is the biggest transition a woman makes in her life. I mean, without question. You know, having this new little person to take care of that you have to put their needs before your own, at least for the first, few weeks, is just an incredible burden. It's an incredible burden.
It's a shock.
And yes, it's a shock, and no one talks about it. Seriously, no one's actually prepared. I mean, you can. There are a lot of things you can do to prepare yourself,
right,
psychologically. But I mean, there's a lot more to preparing for motherhood than putting your stupid nursery together. Like,
which seems to be the thing to do.
Right? Yeah, that makes exactly zero sense to me. Yeah, my son didn't get a nursery, in case you were wondering. Anyway, but so when I stepped into motherhood, I was still very much in transition, on my own terms, because throughout my pregnancy, the first 2 trimesters, I was working 2 jobs, trying to get a little bit of cash in store so that I could take a maternity leave. And I started college my 3rd trimester. I was due on, that's how I roll, Tess. I was due on finals day, but my daughter graciously came 4 days later. And, it was just so incredible, everything that happened that year. I mean, I went through a divorce, 4 months after I'd had my daughter. The postpartum just tore my life to shreds. And really, if I would have had a couple of things in place, it would have been so much easier. One of the things that I talk about in the book is how, even though we're more connected than ever via social media and everything else, is that more women than ever, especially moms, are saying that they feel isolated. And that was absolutely true for me. And that was one of the most important things that we focus on in the book. And every single woman I've talked to, that was one of the first things I said. I was like, what would you do differently with your first child? And everyone said, I wish I had a better support network. I wish I had more of a community around me, just more people to turn to be able to ask for help. Because now more than ever, we're under so much pressure to be everything, Even if you have a really supportive partner in your life, it's so hard. And there's so much conditioning that you have to be the perfect career woman, the perfect mom, the perfect everything. And I think it's bullshit.
I agree, because it's impossible.
It is, absolutely. So as far as holding on to your identity, really the first thing that you really have to do, and once again I talk about this in the book, is define your values. Because if you start from that position, every choice you make, every decision that comes along, you already have the foundation that you need to build on that to make great decisions for you and your child. And knowing what your values are means you're not going to lose that identity. Your values aren't going to shift. By the time you're 20, your values are 90% there. 90% chance they're not going to change. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's vital.
All I can do is affirm that it is so difficult, like you said, and that isolation. And when you are a young mother, the people around you that are young are going on with their lives. So you feel all the more isolated, left out, and left behind.
Yes.
Now, I'm just thinking of this question as we speak, but can older mothers learn and enjoy from your book as well as younger? Or does it focus on young moms?
It doesn't focus on young moms, actually.
I'm glad I clarified that.
Yes.
I think I'm assuming because we were both young moms.
Yeah, and I did interview a lot of young moms. The book focuses on everyone I interviewed was what I considered to be an unconventional mother. But one of the women I interviewed was actually Penelope Trunk, a brazen careerist and several other startups. And she was not a young mom. She had kids when she was a little bit older. And talking to her was very interesting as well in that regard. But the book is really for new moms and people who are considering motherhood and aren't sure. So if you're kind of in that maybe baby kind of position,
I love it.
maybe baby, I love it. Yeah, that's actually the name of Randy Buckley's course, which I highly recommend. Just interviewed her like last week. She's so cool.
Say that a little slower so we can understand.
Sorry. Maybe Baby is actually a course by Randy Buckley.
Okay, got it.
Yep, and it's a self-study course. But the book is very much geared for people who are in that position, who aren't really sure, and they want an actual realistic view of what motherhood looks like.
Tell us about Kickstarter and how you're doing the book.
Yes. So Kickstarter is a platform for creative projects where a person can seek funding to complete a creative project. So right now, my project is on Kickstarter right now, and I'm trying to raise funding so that I can do an actual printing of the book and work with an editor to make sure it's really a phenomenal product. And so if you're interested in contributing to the Kickstarter, all you have to do is Google Rebel Mama, and it'll pop right up, and it'll take you right to the Kickstarter. Oh, just one quick thing. It's actually, I should have mentioned this about Kickstarter. It's not actually donations. It's pledging. So if you pledge the project, you actually get something. Fine. I just wanted to clarify for everybody. So it's basically like ordering an advance copy of the book. So you can go on, pledge $25, and you can get a soft cover version of the book sent to you as soon as it's done. It looks like it's going to be coming out the end of January. So that's kind of what we're looking at for the first printing. There are also some other prizes there, but I just want to let you know you actually get something for your contribution. So, yeah.
And I'm going to get a book too, but because I don't need it, I will be giving it away on my blog. So it's just an exciting event. It's been so much fun interviewing you. And what I love about you is you're so yourself. So listeners, thank you for listening. Thank you, Dusti. And we wish you all the best on your project. And I'll be sure to continue to send my readers over to check it out. There's an awesome video over there to watch. It's beautiful, simply beautiful. So thank you, everyone, for participating. Bye, Dusti.
Bye.